Hello everyone and welcome to my Y&R CBS Daily Update channel. Can a legend really be erased by a single shadow? Or is this the terrifying moment Nikki Newman finally loses the one thing her billions could never buy back? Think about it for a second. For decades, she has been the eyes and ears of Genoa City high society, but now the lights are going out in the most literal and scary way possible. Is this a permanent exit from the world of sight, or just another chapter in a never-ending cycle of Newman trauma? We have all seen Nikki survive the unthinkable, from cults and kidnappings to the very bottom of a bottle. But what is happening right now feels totally different. Honestly, it feels predatory. For weeks, we have watched her struggle through these excruciating headaches, and I think many of us probably dismiss them as just another stress-related plot device. But the writers aren't playing fair this time around. They have traded a slow decline for a sudden and absolute eclipse, and you have to wonder if the timing is basically a form of psychological warfare. Before we go any further, if stories like this keep you thinking long after the episode ends, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this video with another fan who needs to hear this. I'm Jenny, and this is Y&R CBS Daily Update, where we go beyond the surface of your favorite TV dramas and uncover the psychology, hidden emotions, and deeper meanings behind every storyline. Think about what it would be like if the world you built suddenly started fading into literal darkness. That is exactly what is happening to Nikki right now, and it is easily one of the most terrifying things we have seen on this show in years. You have to ask yourself, is this just a standard soap opera medical scare, or is the show finally pushing Nikki to a place where even Victor's billions can't save her? The stakes for the Newman matriarch have never been higher, and the mental war happening behind her eyes is just as intense as the actual medical drama. Was this emergency just a freak thing, or is it the physical result of months of pure stress and family betrayal? Let's really break this down because the context is everything here. For weeks now, Nikki has been brushing off these terrible headaches, probably telling herself they were just the price of doing business in a family where her husband treats people like chess pieces and her son is fighting a really tough addiction. In my opinion, Nikki's choice to ignore those symptoms was classic Newman pride. She has survived kidnappings and cults, so a migraine probably felt like nothing compared to all that. But why did she really wait so long? Well, I think it is a mix of her ego and a deep fear of looking weak in front of Victor. We have seen this play out so many times before, right? The second Nikki shows any weakness, Victor jumps in with his "my baby" routine, and suddenly she has no control over her own life. By the time she and Victoria were sitting at that park cafe on Wednesday, June 24th, the clock had already run out. The actual moment she collapsed was just brutal to watch. Nikki wasn't just feeling a little off. She was yelping in pain, which is a sound we almost never hear from a woman who usually stays so calm and regal. To me, that is the exact moment the Newman matriarch mask completely shattered. When her vision blurred so much that she couldn't even see Victoria standing right in front of her, the reality of her situation hit her like a train. Imagine the sheer terror of that. Nikki is someone who lives and breathes control, and losing her sight isn't just a physical problem for her. It is like losing her best weapon. Seeing her beg Victoria to get her to the hospital immediately was basically her waving a white flag. It was heartbreaking, but let's be honest, it was also a long time coming. Now we have to talk about Nick and Victor because their relationship is basically the dark sun that every other storyline orbits around. While Nikki is literally going blind in a park, Victor is back at the ranch acting like a grand inquisitor with Claire and Victoria. Victor's obsession with knowing everything isn't really about love, is it? It is about dominance. He senses a secret, and it was driving him crazy because if he doesn't know the truth, he can't control the outcome. I honestly think Nikki's refusal to tell Victor about the mass on her optic nerve is both the bravest and most foolish move she has ever made. She told Victoria that involving Victor diminishes her. She is trying so hard to reclaim her identity as an individual and not just Victor's wife who needs rescuing. But is it worth going permanently blind just to prove a point to your estranged husband? By giving Nikki these symptoms while she is already at odds with Victor, the show has created a situation where her health is now a weapon of her own pride. She didn't seek help sooner because, in the Newman world, admitting you have a headache is like admitting there's a crack in your armor. It is a tragic irony that the woman who has everything is about to lose the ability to see any of it. Let's talk about that diagnosis for a second because it is a masterclass in soap opera cruelty. We aren't just looking at a flare-up of her multiple sclerosis, which would have been the easy way out for the script. Instead, the specialist drops the T-word, a brain mass, specifically a tumor pressing directly against her optic nerve. This mass is a physical manifestation of the pressure she has been under for years. It is as if all the secrets, the corporate wars, and the family infighting finally turned into something deadly internally. Nikki isn't just feeling pain, she is feeling a profound sense of betrayal by her own body. When the darkness hit her in that hospital room, that raw, guttural scream we heard wasn't just for her lost sight. It was the sound of a woman losing her autonomy. She is terrified of being a burden, and if you think about it, Nikki has spent her entire life climbing from the wrong side of the tracks to become a socialite queen. To her, being blind isn't just a disability. It is a regression. It is the fear that if she can't see the world, and specifically Victor, will stop seeing her as an equal and start seeing her as a patient. I want to look at this from a different angle for a moment. While the show presents this as a tragedy, it is actually a forced reset for the Newman family. For years, Nikki and Victor have been trapped in this cycle of ego and making up, and this tumor is effectively a narrative pause button. It strips away the business deals and the petty jealousies over Jack Abbott and forces them into a space of pure mortality. The funny thing is, the tumor might be the only thing in Genoa City powerful enough to make Victor Newman stop looking at a balance sheet and start looking at his wife's soul, even if she can't look back. In my opinion, Nikki's decision to hide this from Victor is both her most heroic and her most misguided move in decades. I totally get her desire to keep her dignity, because nobody wants to be a pity project for their spouse. However, it is incredibly selfish to keep this from her family when the stakes are literally life and death. She is playing a dangerous game with her survival, just to win a point in a marriage argument. It is frustrating to watch Victoria be the only one carrying this burden. Honestly, it is asking too much of her daughter to lie to the man who effectively runs their entire world. Psychologically, Nikki is suffering from what I call a control paradox. Because her health is out of her control, she is obsessively controlling the information about her health. This is a trauma response from her childhood, back when she had to kill her father in self-defense. She learned early that the world is a predatory place and that showing weakness is an invitation for disaster. Her ego is so intertwined with her image as the bulletproof Newman matriarch that she would rather go blind in secret than be seen as vulnerable in public. It is a classic case of a character whose greatest strength, her resilience, has become her greatest psychological prison. And the tension is ratcheting up to an unbearable degree because this secret is already leaking like a sieve. We have Clea Newman, well-meaning but totally out of her depth, already dropping hints to Victor about Nikki's headaches during brunch at the GCAC. Victor isn't a fool. He smells blood in the water. When the mustache starts pulling a thread, he doesn't stop until the whole tapestry is unraveled. The conflict here isn't just the tumor. It is the inevitable collision between Nikki's desperate need for privacy and Victor's pathological need to fix everything and everyone he owns. And let's not forget the medical escalation. The doctor was very clear. Surgery is the best option, but the surgery itself could be the very thing that makes the blindness permanent. Nikki is standing on the edge of a cliff where both staying still and jumping lead to the same dark abyss. I'm predicting a massive fallout that will redefine the Newman Ranch for years. First, Victor's going to find out, not from Nikki, but likely by cornering Nate Hastings or finding the scans himself. The emotional explosion will be nuclear. Victor will feel betrayed that she didn't trust him, and he will respond the only way he knows how, by overcompensating with resources. Expect the ranch to be turned into a private hospital wing, effectively turning Nikki into a gilded prisoner of her own care. Long term, if the writers actually have the guts to keep her blind, we're going to see a Nikki too who has to navigate the corporate world of Newman Enterprises using her other senses. It would be a fascinating evolution for a character who has traditionally relied so much on her physical presence and luminous beauty. However, this is the young and the restless, so my miracle prediction is that Victor will fly in a specialist from the crossover with Beyond the Gates to perform a high-risk procedure that restores her sight just in time for a vow renewal. But the scars on their marriage, those will be permanent. While all this is happening, the show is throwing other chaos at us. Jack Abbott is currently playing a dangerous game of house with Patty Williams. He is so focused on saving Diane that he might miss the fact that one of his closest lifelong friends is literally going into the dark. Jack and Nikki have such a deep history, having been married and sharing the loss of a child. If he is too busy being manipulated by Patty to be there for Nikki, it is going to add another layer of guilt to his story. And then there's Diane Jenkins, who is basically a hostage in Dr. Markham's house trying to use her charm and his ego to escape. It is wild to see the contrast. While Nikki is losing her vision and shutting people out, Diane is wide-eyed and using every observation she can to find a way out. The funny thing is, the show is juggling so many missing or hidden people right now. You have Diane hidden away, Nikki hiding her health, and Victor hiding his true intentions with Matt Clark. It is like a theme of invisibility. If Nikki does lose her sight permanently, she will be the only one who truly sees the family for what they are because she won't be distracted by the glamour. But let's be real. Do we think Victor can handle a wife who is more powerful because of her vulnerability? He loves to be the protector, the one who buys the cure. If there is no cure, his entire identity as the all-powerful Victor Newman is under threat. I need to hear from you guys in the comments because this is a heated one. Do you think Nikki is being brave by keeping her diagnosis from Victor, or is she being incredibly selfish by putting her pride above her family's right to know? And given her history with MS and alcoholism, is this deadly diagnosis one trauma too many? Or is this the kind of high-stakes drama she needs to remain the show's centerpiece? The way the writers have structured this is actually pretty clever if you think about it. By having Clea be the one to leak the news, they are putting the newest Newman in the middle of the oldest Newman conflict. Clea just wants her grandparents to be happy, but she has accidentally detonated a bomb. It makes me wonder if Clea will eventually become Nikki's eyes if this blindness lasts. Imagine Clea becoming the most essential person at the ranch because she's the only one Nikki trusts to guide her. That would certainly put Victoria's nose out of joint, wouldn't it? And what about Nick? He is currently dealing with his own mess, and there are spoilers suggesting he might even have a relapse of his own. If the Newman children are falling apart just as their mother is facing a life-threatening crisis, Victor is going to be fighting a war on 3 different fronts. He is trying to destroy Kane Ashby, save his wife, and keep his son from spiraling. Even for the mustache, that is a lot of plates to spin. It really feels like the foundation of the Newman family is being tested in a way we haven't seen in years. Usually they have an external enemy like Jack or an interloper, but this time the enemies are internal, a tumor, an addiction, and a secret. If Nikki goes through with the surgery and it fails, we are looking at a completely different show. Melody Thomas Scott has played this character for over 40 years, and she said herself she loves high drama and catastrophes. This might be her most challenging performance yet. Seeing her play the vulnerability of total blindness while still trying to maintain the Nikki Newman poise is going to be heartbreaking. You can already see the fear in her eyes even before the darkness fully takes over. It is the kind of storytelling that makes you remember why you started watching soaps in the first place. It's not just about who's sleeping with whom. It's about these icons facing the things we all fear most: loss of health, loss of control, and the fear of being forgotten. The doctor, Lawrence Markham, is also an interesting piece of this puzzle. He is working for Patty, but he is also the one Jack is trying to track. Is it possible his medical knowledge might somehow intersect with Nikki's case? In Genoa City, the world is very small. We already know Nate Hastings is getting pulled back into the medical world to help with Nikki's scans. Nate has been through his own ringer lately, and being the one to confirm Nikki's grim fate might be what finally grounds him again. It is almost like the show is using Nikki's illness to fix all the other characters' problems, which is a bit of a classic soap trope, isn't it? Honestly though, my heart just breaks for Nikki in that hospital bed. No matter how much money you have, you can't negotiate with a tumor on your optic nerve. And Victor's response, filling the ranch with flowers and trying to buy his way back into her heart, it is so classic Victor. He doesn't know how to just be with her in the pain, he has to change the environment. He thinks if the room looks beautiful, she'll feel better, forgetting that she can't even see the flowers he's bought. It is a tragic, beautiful, and completely messed up situation. That resilience has defined her character for decades and helped transform her from a troubled young woman into one of Genoa City's most powerful and respected figures. But the crisis unfolding now feels fundamentally different from anything Nikki has faced before. This is not an enemy she can outsmart, a rival she can defeat, or a family conflict she can manipulate into submission. Instead, she is confronting something deeply personal and frightening: the possibility of losing her sight and with it, the independence that has shaped her entire identity. Viewers may not understand the pressures of being Nikki Newman, but they understand fear, vulnerability, and uncertainty. That emotional truth is what makes this story resonate. Whether Nikki ultimately triumphs or suffers a heartbreaking setback, audiences will be watching because her struggle reflects something deeply human. For perhaps the first time in years, Nikki Newman is not battling an external enemy. She is battling herself, her fears, and the terrifying unknown waiting in the darkness ahead. On Wednesday, July 22nd, the recap reveals that Nikki will lash out after her bandages are finally removed. At the Newman Ranch, she starts the day cautiously hopeful, brushing her hair and preparing for the appointment while her family gathers in the waiting room. Victor comes in for support when she gets nervous, and Dr. Nolan reminds her that the optic nerve is sensitive. Even if she can't see right away, her vision could return later. But once the bandages come off, she is distraught to find she is still in total darkness. Her family tries to support her, but she just wants to be alone. Back in her bedroom, she cries out and smashes a mirror during a total meltdown over her eyesight not coming back yet. Some fans on Reddit are already pointing out the strange way this is being written. They ask why she isn't using a cane to help her get around. One fan joked that if she had a cane, she couldn't shuffle around with her arms stretched out while counting her steps. Others believe she will eventually regain her sight, because it would be too difficult for the actress to portray a blind character permanently. Another interesting theory is that Adam Newman could become the one who truly helps Nikki. He understands blindness because his mother, Hope, was blind, and he also temporarily lost his own eyesight. Even though Adam and Nikki have never had the best relationship, this could become a touching turning point between them. So what do you think? Was Claire right to tell Victor the truth, or did she betray Nikki's trust? Is Nikki being brave, or is she risking everything by keeping her diagnosis secret? And do you think Nate will play a key role in saving her, or is Victor preparing for one final desperate attempt to save the woman he loves? The drama is only just beginning, and Victor Newman is about to go to war with fate itself. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next deep dive into Nikki's surgery and everything that happens afterward. Leave a like if you think Nikki deserves better, and share your biggest theories in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.